This is a knife by cKc Knives, Carly Harris. I've been using it for a while. I have a few videos up just doing some really hard use with it. Next thing I'm going to do is run an edge retention comparison against this with the Spyderco Forester, designed by Jerry Hassan, and a Farberware chef's knife. And this is mainly just sort of benchmark the performance. I'm going to be sharpening all the knives on this, which is essentially a $2 stone you can get at any hardware store. It has a coarse side and a fine side. I'm going to be using the fine side, and that will produce an edge which I'll demonstrate in one of the later videos. We'll easily slice, fine newsprint, shave. The only thing that's sort of a bit difficult to get is to get it to cleanly push cut newsprint, and that's because the particle size in this can be a bit uneven. It also doesn't break down very well, so when you're trying to refine an edge you don't get fresh abrasive, so it's difficult to get that really high level of sharpness with it. But I'll demonstrate what I actually can get. I like using a stone like this for some edge retention comparisons because it's very close to what a lot of people are going to use. Not everybody's going to buy high-end stones, have diamond plates and that kind of stuff. And this to me represents a nice benchmark for a lot of people. Well, of course I'll do other edge retention tests. The main purposes of this, and you might want to look away very shortly because I'm going to be doing something relatively dramatic to this knife. This knife was heavily used when I got it, and it was marred up. There was impacts on the spine, which looks like it had to be hit by metal because the spine is actually dented. And this is, according to Kylie, N690 stainless steel from Bowler at somewhere around 60 Rockwell. So to put a dent in the spine of it is fairly dramatic. Now I rounded all this off because I didn't want the sharp corners on it. The other thing was there was a really large recurve in this part of the blade right here. I normally don't like recurves, especially on blades of this side. They're kind of annoying to sharpen, and I really don't like the cutting ability. You can't do flat work with it because only a portion of the edge contacts the stone. So what I'm going to do is take the recurve out, and I've got most of it out. The only part I got left to get out is this small part right down here, and it's not cleanly sitting on the stone. So if I lay this on the stone and the edge wasn't recurved, it should make 100% contact. It actually doesn't. It's slightly off the stone in this area right here. So in order to get that out, you can do it on a belt sander, but belt sanders remove material extremely rapidly. And if you're not very careful or don't have a really light touch, you'll grind way too much of it out. And you can get them out relatively quickly just with the corners on an old bench stone. You just have to do this. Like I said, this is going to sound pretty horrible. Now you probably don't want to do this with a really nice stone. Again, this stone is $2. So when I get this done, I'll take this out, I'll reflatten this, round up the corners, and it'll be good to go. So all I do basically is you do a bit of work like that, I grind this down, then I check it again, make sure it's flat, and when I'm done I'll have a nice flat surface. It smoothly makes contact, a nice smooth even straight edge. And then the other thing I'll do is I'll bring the grind straight down from spine to edge so it's zero, that there's no secondary edge bevel. And when I got it, the edge bevel was relatively decent. It was between 15 to 20 thousandths. It's after thickening up to slightly bit over 20 thousandths with all the work that I've done. So I want to thin that right back out simply because it'll make it much easier when I'm doing any comparisons. If the edge is really thin, it'll sharpen up that much better. Now I'm not actually going to maintain the zero profile because I find that way too annoying to sharpen. If you're sharpening a zero profile, you have to sharpen from spine to edge, which is very time consuming, especially if you have steel like this, which is relatively abrasion resistant. So just wanted to give you an update if you're wondering where I am and what I'm actually doing with this knife. And I'm doing this relatively carefully. Like, I mean, if this was a really cheap knife that had a hollow in it, like this, which is a 99-cent paring knife. These will develop hollows continuously because people sharpen them on butcher steels, and you normally start the butcher steel up here and then rake it ahead, and all of a sudden you get this big sweep developing in the knife. Now I actually took a big recurve out of this a while ago, and I'll just do it on a belt sander. I'll just lay it on it relatively aggressively, and I don't really care if I grind off too much metal. What difference does it make? The knife is like $1. I'll get it fixed up relatively quickly. But I don't want to burn too much material off the edge of this, so I'll do it manually by hand. And when I get it all done, I'll actually take a few pictures, and the next video that I do, when I'm talking about the edge retention, I'll show you the cleaned up knife, and you'll never know any of this happened.